You are listening to The Mismatch, presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook has made it easier than ever to get in on the action during an NBA playoff game, even after tip-off. Just look for the live SGP tab on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and build your bet slip. Then sit back, relax, and track the outcome of your parlay right in the app. And if you don't already have it, download the FanDuel app today to make every moment more. The Ringer is committed to responsible gambling. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. You must be 21 and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Welcome to The Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me as he does every week from TheRinger.com is Dave Jacoby. Jacoby!
We got the conference finals all set up, Verno.
West Finals is set. East Finals is set. They are beginning tonight as we're recording this on early Tuesday morning. So the West Finals is set. Let's start with that. We saw Oklahoma City run out against the Denver Nuggets in a Game 7 on Sunday afternoon. And now they are going to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. First, let's finish up on Oklahoma City, Denver. Game started, and it looked like, this could be the young team that's a little tense. And that did not last very long. One of the things that I had mentioned after we got done watching Game 6 was you looked at that box score, and there was a number that I had circled, and I said, these points off turnovers are the same. Like, that is the way, because Oklahoma City is just absolutely relentless in their ability to score off of turnovers, right? They have scored, I think the number was over 20% of their points throughout the season have been this way. And so if you are able to play in a slower game and limit your turnovers, that is your opportunity to win against them. That proved to be true against the Denver Nuggets. Against Oklahoma City in Game 6. Game 7 was an absolute mess. Denver could not stop turning the ball. And the points off turnovers, I think they won them by like 30. I mean, it was just run out, and their defense absolutely tortured Denver, and here we are. They get to move on to the Western Conference Finals.
It really was those pick sixes. It was we turn you over. And Alex Caruso at one point had like a wide open dunk over and over again. It just seemed like the points off of turnovers were so key in that game because, as you mentioned, didn't start well for the Thunder. Because I was sitting there watching the game, and I was like, this is going to go bad. They seemed tight. They didn't seem comfortable, and the Nuggets took a lead early on in that game, and I did feel like it was going to be a tough day for the Thunder, but it was the turnovers. It's their defense. Yeah. They're swarming. It just seems like there's 7 guys out there sometimes for the Thunder.
Well, and amazing strategic move to put Caruso on Jokic.
Wild.
How he holds up is just unbelievable. I mean, the fact that this guy can guard literally anyone on the court is and the other thing is you have to have those kind of guys, whether it is, Indiana's got a bunch of them. New York has Josh Hart, Minnesota has Jaden McDaniels and others. And it's like you can feel the rest of the team feeding off of that player. He's the one flexing to the crowd. He's the one putting his ear up. He's the one diving on the floor. And what a win for Sam Presti. I mean, I got it that people were laying off of Josh Giddey last year, but Josh Giddey is an outstanding basketball player, and it's still a risk. It's still a risk to make that move when you are getting rid of an outstanding basketball player that might have some playoff flaws, and then you are attaining Alex Caruso. But I mean, that's a 100 out of 10 fit. I mean, that is not a 10 out of 10. That's 100 out of 10. I mean, Caruso has been absolutely amazing.
Putting him on Jokic, putting him on Jokic
come
was,
on.
I mean, first of all, I don't think it's fair to say that they put him on Jokic because they kind of like, everything was a semi-double team every time he touched the ball.
How about a quadruple team?
Yeah, I mean, every time he touched the ball. So, like, I think it's a little reductive to be like, oh, they put Caruso on Jokic, but Caruso would start on Jokic. Then every time he touched the ball, someone else would come and help. And I thought it was a masterclass. It was a really, really, really good game for them.
Well, and let's be fair. There was one guy to guard. Let me face guard Jamal Murray. I can dedicate anything else I need to making sure life is hell on Jokic. No, Aaron Gordon cannot move. Russell Westbrook it turned into a pumpkin 2 weeks ago. Michael Porter Jr. makes either 1 or 2 shots a game. So Christian Brown's like the only other guy. And it's like, okay, this is what I'm worried about. I mean, Denver was obviously a shell of themselves by the time they got to that point. And that is more than likely by virtue of playing 7 games in the first round, turn around, play 7 more games in the second round. And we learn this every single year. It's like, who can stay healthy? Who can keep their guys, and especially their guys that matter most, out there to the point where they can be super effective? And I am not saying, don't get me wrong, Oklahoma City didn't win because Denver got injured, okay? They played, I don't know if they wouldn't have won that game if everybody was fine. But it goes without saying that as you watch that game unfold, there was really one guy to guard.
I think one of the stories of that game is really J-Dub. Is J-Dub game 6 just didn't show up. They lost the game. In game 7, He showed up. And I think that was a key thing. And I think that the Thunder did a good job of making sure that he got going. Because once he got going, it was over. It was a blowout.
Well, and look, Jalen Williams is not unlike many young players, which is when the mood is good, when the team is when the crowd's cheering for you, when you're getting all the runouts, when I mean, look, this is not a slight on Jalen Williams. Young players are front runners generally, right? When things start going bad, that's when you have to start worrying about them. And then you see this with veteran teams. They're able to just settle down. They're okay, right? Okay, we're down by 10. Okay, we're down by 15. It's not as easy for the young player to overcome it and overcome those struggles. To wit, there were 3 of these games Jalen Williams was 55% from the field and absolutely fantastic. And then the other 4 games, he was 24% from the field, right? So it's almost like when it's going good, it's going great. When it's going bad, it's going worse, right? I mean, that is a massive gap. When you have 4 games that you shoot 23% and you have 3 games where you shoot 55%, and in the end, if they're going to get past Minnesota, they need to have 4 that are more like the 3 they just had, because he is, as we know, extremely important to what they are going to be able to do, especially when they're playing against a really good defensive team.
Yeah, I think that you hit it on the head when you started with the turnovers. I think that's going to be the key to the Wolves-Thunder series. Is because even in some of those wins, like, because they win by 20, no one cares, but they still turn the ball over like 20 times, even in the wins. So it's one of those things where it's like, if they can control the ball, if they can just keep themselves from themselves, if they can just not turn the ball over, they're going to be successful against the Thunder. But that is my main concern. That's the number one thing I'm looking at tonight when I look at the game is can the Timberwolves just keep the ball?
I think that there is, we've talked about Greg Popovich rolling his eyes a few years ago and saying, just show me who made more threes. Show me the 3-point percentage in the basketball game, and I'll show you, and I'll tell you who won the game. Right? That has changed, but I do think if we take a lesson from that, I do think that that's going to be a very fair measure of how the game went.
I don't know.
Did the Timberwolves turn? No. I'm not talking about threes. Okay, I'm talking about turnovers. Did the Timberwolves turn it over 20 times?
It's over. They can't.
Did they turn it over? Did they turn it over 15? You got a chance.
But the threes thing is interesting, too, because Anthony Edwards was shooting like 10.4 threes a game in the regular season, and that number's changed dramatically in the postseason.
And I will say that for the turnover thing, like it's easy to say, hey, this team forces a lot of turnovers, and they do. What makes Oklahoma City so great is not only do they force a lot of turnovers, bro, they convert off all of them.
Turn them into points. They
convert on them. Like, you know what I mean? There's teams that do convert turnovers, but they don't score 30 points off them. This team regularly scores the points off of them.
I can't even name how many uncontested dunked and layups they had out for turnovers now in Game 7.
And you've got to know that's all Chris Finch has been talking about over and over and over again, is taking care of the ball. If we take care of the ball, we can get them in the kind of game that we want to get them in. And then we'll play them. We'll see.
I can't believe I said into this very microphone that Julius Randle will disappoint you in the playoffs because, man, he's been so good. He's been so good.
I told you to wait, though. I told you to wait because they deploy Caruso on him, which is a real thing that could actually happen.
No.
What are you talking about?
I don't think Caruso can stop him.
Jacoby, he has guarded Jaren Jackson Jr. and Nikola Jokic so far. Don't tell me he can't man up on Julius Randle, because that can happen. Because what you don't want is like Julius Randle having to go, trying to tomato chest Chet Holmgren or, fly past. Like Randle is one of these weird, it's almost like Gronk was in football where he's too fast for your linebackers, but he's too big for your corners. Randle's in kind of that sweet spot where it's like he's too quick for your biggest guy, but he's too strong for a wiry guy. And so I do think they're actually going to deploy like a Caruso or a Dort against him.
Well, one thing that's so fun about the Thunder is they have so many guys to throw at your best players. And same thing with Anthony Edwards, whether it's Wallace or Dort or Caruso, they've just got so many different looks that they can put in front of Edwards just to change it up. It's like a baseball team putting out 4 pitchers in 9 innings.
Do you feel, and look, I sent you the odds last night. Oklahoma City is a massive favorite over the Thunder. Okay, well, let me just say, I was wrong about the Thunder in their second round series. They won that game. They won in 7 games against that opponent. I do feel, and there's no way for this to come off any other different. People are going to be like, oh, yeah, of course you think that against the Thunder. But I do feel like people have discounted when I'm listening and reading the predictions, like the Wolves laid waste to Luka and LeBron. Like they destroyed them. It's not their fault that Curry went out. And I suppose we can always do the what if, but it's not like they dicked around with the Warriors.
But
they trashed them too.
But you take Curry off the board and you've got,
I got it.
With Jimmy Butler sick or whatever he is, he wasn't himself. Like the Warriors had absolutely nothing. They had nothing.
Okay, so then is it fair to do that about Game 7?
They breezed through the second round series.
So is that fair to do that about Game 7? That Oklahoma City is in the spot that they're in because they were playing against one player?
I think at home they were down 11. They were down 11 in the first quarter at home. I thought they showed resolve. I thought they showed some grit and some of that. You always say like playoff scars and veteran teams always win. I thought that the Thunder proved their mettle in that game.
Why do you think people are not extremely high on Minnesota? That's what I would say. Given what they were a team that was in the West Finals last year, and they have done nothing in the playoffs so far to make you believe anything other than they are awesome.
I can't explain it. I can't.
It does feel that way, though. Do you know?
They got Kevin Durant last year, Jokic last year, LeBron and Luka this year, Steph Curry this year, Jimmy Butler this year.
The Curry one has an asterisk. Fair,
but it sounds.
But that's what happens in playoff series. I'm not sure that they wouldn't have won with Steph Curry there.
It is a health thing, though. If you look at the 4 teams that are left, they're 4 healthy teams. They are.
Yep.
They're 4 healthy teams. The 4 teams that are left are 4 healthy teams.
Do you know I saw the absolute craziest stat last night about this? And I do think that part of it is Minnesota and Oklahoma City are 2 teams that both traditionally get less run than their peers during the regular season.
Oh, what do you mean run? Like national TV games?
Yeah.
Sure.
National TV games and conversation.
Sure.
They're not the conversation.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
right?
the Lakers. We're going to talk about the Warriors. Yeah, get it.
Understood.
Yeah,
right?
Even Jokic. Yeah.
I saw last night that this was the first Western Conference final. Think about how crazy this is. This is the first Western Conference Finals in 29 years where one of the teams has not been from California or Texas. 29 years.
Western Conference Finals. I'm trying to think.
29. It has either been San Antonio, Dallas,
Rockets, Spurs,
Houston,
yeah,
or it has featured the Lakers, the Warriors, the Kings,
to be fair,
whoever.
To be fair, there's 7 of the 15 teams are in California or Texas.
I understand, but still, Jacoby, that's a lot, considering the last time that no teams from California or Texas made it to the Western Conference Finals was 1996.
I'm trying to think Karl Malone in the Jazz, right?
Versus the Sonics.
I was thinking Jazz Sonics or Jazz Blazers. Yeah.
In 1996. Kind of wild. So anyways, I have wondered why, because Minnesota has not done anything wrong so far in these playoffs to make anyone think that they're not a fantastic team. And they are a team that last year got to this point. They played in the Western Conference Finals, and they played against the Dallas Mavericks, who ended up going to the finals. And so here we are. This season, SGA averaged 35, 7, and 7 against the Wolves. These teams actually split during the regular season, including one of the most exciting games, which was that crazy comeback that Minnesota had in the fourth quarter, down like 16. Remember? And it looked like he wasn't going to put Edwards back in the game, but then he put him back in the game in overtime, and then he made the game-winning block at the rim and all that stuff. Anyways, SGA was fantastic against them. 35, 7, and 7, 51% from the field, and he went to the line 48 times, the most versus any opponent. And if you don't think we're getting a Chris Finch meltdown during this number, you got another thing coming. Because Chris Finch is one of those that will for sure end up complaining about the refs if it's allowed to be super physical, or if, they've already done the thing this year where it's like, you can't touch him, but they can do whatever they want on their end. And so I'm expecting
SGA is known to go to the line too. SGA will go to the line too. And
no, that's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about SGA going to the line. And this is going to be a war. This is going to be a war. I do think your turnover thing is right. If we are talking playoff experience,
at what point are you going to give it to the Thunder?
The Wolves have that.
At what point? I mean, you called them the Oklahoma City fetuses. I thought that was funny. But like at this point, I think they've earned their stripes. They've earned their scars. They are a legitimate team that can go to the finals. You picking the Wolves?
I mean, I've got to stick to history.
What do you mean stick to history?
Okay. I don't know why I have to keep telling people this.
I'm setting you up for this.
37 of the last 41 NBA champions have been to at least the Western Conference Finals within the last 3 years before they won it.
The conference finals. Eastern or Western.
The conference finals. Now, maybe this team is the 2015 Warriors. I am totally accepting of that. Maybe they are. But the other ones, where Jordan went to go play baseball in the Rockets, that's 15 Warriors. And then you have the Lakers in 2020 who added Anthony Davis.
What about the Mavs? Mavs?
No, they had been to the conference finals.
Huh.
And then remember when they beat the Utah Jazz even without Luka? That was the Brunson come out, the Brunson show.
Right.
All right. And then you have who was the other one? Oh, it was the '08 Celtics. I mean, they added Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Okay, so and the 2020 Lakers added Anthony Davis. Okay, so this is really just the 15 Warriors, right? They're the ones that have done it. They went to the playoffs, played 2 rounds, went to the playoffs, got beat in the first round, hired Steve Kerr, won 60-something games in the title. And maybe that is so. Maybe that is going to be so. I've said that 1,000 times. What I've also told you is every year, I talk about this. And every year, somebody tells me that this is different. And every year, it's not different. Rinse and repeat. This happens every year, bro. I mean, I've been doing this every year.
It's wild to me that the Pacers and the Wolves.
Rinse and repeat.
The Pacers and the Wolves both felt like fluky finals appearances, our conference finals appearances last year, but here they are again. So there's nothing fluky about it.
Here
they are again. There's nothing fluky about it. They're right here.
I will say, all right, so SGA's played in 34 playoff games. Jalen Williams is 21. Hartenstein 37. He's the most of the starters. Holmgren 21. Dort 27.
Holmgren 21.
Yeah, the most playoff games for anybody on the Thunder at this point is 42, which is Alex Caruso. Unsurprising, right? Obviously part of the Lakers team. You know who's played the least amount of playoff games of the guys that play for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Let me think. Alexander Walker?
It's Julius Randle.
What? Oh, because he was hurt.
Julius Randle has played in 25 playoff games in his career.
His team has been to playoff games.
Is that crazy,
but he was
though?
hurt. Yeah.
25. Edwards, 37. Mike Conley, 103. Rudy Gobert, 79.
What about Alexander Walker?
McDaniels is 32. And then DiVincenzo is 49, actually. DiVincenzo's played in a lot of playoff games. 49 is a big number for, I mean, I guess you get the
Bucks, Warriors,
Bucks.
Knicks,
I mean,
he's played for more teams than you think. Yeah.
49 playoff games is when I was looking up all the numbers for these, obviously it's a runaway in terms of playoff experience. One team has been in significantly more playoff games than the other. And so we will say maybe that won't show up, maybe it will.
One thing, just a quick aside, I was talking to somebody yesterday. It's easy to forget. Remember the preseason game when DiVincenzo was talking to the Knicks bench?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Like, I think people forget now because it was like in September or whatever. But when he was like, this is what happens when they let you run the team. And he was talking shit. And then after the game, he went up to Rick Brunson, not Jalen Brunson, Rick Brunson, and was talking shit to him. Like, if we get a Wolves-Knicks finals, I mean, that's way ahead of us. But man.
I heard Howard Beck saying this. This would be the absolute funniest outcome. After that trade, if both teams end up in the NBA Finals, I mean, if we would have guessed that happening in August or whenever that trade went down.
Do you remember DiVincenzo's face? He was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
He was so emotional on the foul line at the Garden in a preseason game. Like, the crowd wasn't even full.
It's 3 of his best friends he got traded away from, you know.
It's been a long
day without you, my friend. You remember when he died? That was so sad. He came back to life as a Timberwolf.
Give him an advisor. He'll be fine.
Yeah. So, all right. So in the Western Conference, what, you think Oklahoma City's going to run away with it? They might.
Listen, it's. I know that I'm like supposed to make bold predictions and have hot takes or whatever, but I was going to be honest. I don't know who's going to win this series. I don't know.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I could see the Timberwolves winning. I could see the Thunder winning. I mean,
no, this is not about the Thunder individual. I am only just relying on history. And if it proves to end up being wrong.
So here's my question for you. Even better than who's going to win the series, who's going to be the best player in the series?
So that's super fascinating.
Because you always say best player in the series. It could be Anthony Edwards. It could be SGA. It could be J-Dub. It could be Julius Randle? Who knows?
I think it's totally possible for SGA to be the best player, but his team not win.
Did you ever feel like he put him on his back in the previous series?
Hold on.
I didn't feel that way.
I think it's possible that SGA ends up with the best numbers and has the best series, and his team could lose. And that is just because of the others, right? And the lack of playoff experience that they have. And, oh, my God, if it shows up. If Jalen Williams is like the player he was for the 3 games or for the 4 games instead of the 3 games, you got a problem. Because this is one of the things that has bothered me about this is there is this sentiment that was just the Western Conference Finals, and whoever came out of that was going to be the winner. Almost, and I'm sitting there going, the Wolves beat them last year.
But we were Denver. Also saying that about the Clippers and the Nuggets. It's like, this is the Western Conference Finals.
But this sentiment that they are about to play a worse team than they just did, and look, in fairness, Vegas has got them as a bigger favorite against the Wolves than they do the Nuggets.
Interesting. I mean, SGA just had 35 in a Game 7. And I'm kind of like, jury's still out. 35 in a Game 7.
No, that's what I'm telling you. I think he could be absolutely fantastic. I mean, they can get very heliocentric, especially if it's not a turnover game, right? Mm-hmm. And if that is the case, how many of those guys do you trust in half-court basketball? Not as many.
SGA.
Right? Not as many, okay? Whereas I think it'd be very hard to foresee a circumstance where if Anthony Edwards was the best player on the floor in this series, that Minnesota would lose. I think it's possible that – so do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
I think SGA could be the best player and his team not come through. I think that if Edwards is the best player on the floor, he's got the other guys. Like those other guys. But if he's crap, they're in a world of crap. You know, they're in a world of trouble as well. If he's throwing the ball all over the yard, if they just can't hold on to it, if they're getting loose with the ball and all of a sudden it becomes turnover fest, you got a big problem. I'm just saying SGA, so much of their offense is him and comes from him.
Especially in the half court.
I could see his, I mean.
Has there been a Chet game? Has there been a Chet game in these playoffs where you've been like, wow, Chet took over?
I honestly think he's honestly probably the biggest X factor in this.
I think that has to be J-Dub. We saw Game 6 and Game 7, just two different teams, two different performances from him. Like just night and day.
Yep. Right.
You know,
but you still got good SGAs. It's not like SGA has duds.
No. But
you know what I mean?
When Chet shoots a 3, I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. I'll live with that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like and I think he's, rim protection is good, defense is good, but like I want to see Chet. I want to see Chet score 30.
Well, and some of the things that they found as that series went on, which I thought were super fascinating, those Wallace-Caruso tandem minutes are just unbelievable. And he ended up leaning on those.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be as applicable against a team with as much size as Minnesota, right? Does the size of Minnesota necessitate Dort in a way? Because it really felt like they were ending up going a lot less. I know Dort hit the 3 big threes at the end of Game 5, but if Lou Dort missed that first 3 he took, they were going to pull him and put Wallace back in the game.
Well, he hasn't hit 3 since those 3.
But what are they doing with those wings, right? Are Wallace and Caruso as applicable versus Minnesota as what they ended up being able to do against Denver?
Minnesota could put out a lineup with Gobert and Reed and Randall and Edwards and McDaniels, and everyone is big and strong. Everyone is big and strong. And then Isaiah Joe starts looking smaller. Wallace starts looking smaller. Caruso starts looking smaller. And then you just size and strength. They can put out a lineup that's just going to overpower you. One of those 3 possessions where it's like, oh, we missed a shot. Guess what? We got the rebound, kick it back out. Oh, we missed a shot again. Got the rebound, kick it back out. Like it's Thunder. the Thunder have traditionally had a problem rebounding the basketball, and I think they will in this series as well.
The other thing is that length and that size gives them ability to, again, you have to be able to score so that you can set it up, right? You got to be playing a lot of dead ball basketball in order to set up that zone. But that is one thing we do know. Not only have they implemented zones in the past, they have done it with incredible success because it's almost like friggin', and they run like 2-1-2s. They'll run, they'll just run 2 at SGA at the top. I mean, they can really fly around, but the problem is you can only set up the zone. You saw, there were a lot of times where Denver got Oklahoma City looking like a mess against that
with
zone.
The zone.
Now, they figured a lot of it out in Game 7. Now, I don't know how much of that is because they were trying to hide Aaron Gordon so much, but that baseline stuff was just open like crazy, and they started to figure it out as time went on. But it's just something to take note of that you saw how they looked against the zone, and Minnesota can set up in that.
The Warriors ran a ton of zone against the Wolves too.
Yep.
Ton of zone. These playoffs have been interesting. There's been so much zone. Yeah, it's been wild. It's like college. It's like everyone's just running.
Well, because these teams are so great at the rim. And so it's like, shoot me out of it. I want you shooting 53s. What I don't want is you having a heyday at the rim. And both of these teams are good at defending the rim and getting to the rim. And so the best thing you could do is just cut off all those driving lanes. That's where Edwards has evolved in a massive, massive way. So it used to be, it was like the LeBron treatment, which is just shade a second guy, have another guy at the free throw line. What we don't want is this guy driving. If he shoots threes, it's a bailout, right? That is where Edwards has changed. He hit more threes than anybody in the NBA. I think he's at 44%, even though it doesn't feel like he has shot them at a high clip in the playoffs. He has. And that whole, we're going to cut off your driving lanes, that's the evolution of the player. And we'll see how many Edwards can hit when it comes to this, because I promise you, he's going to be taking a lot of threes, a lot, because they're going to be trying to cut him off from going to the basket and playmaking.
And if you've got Hartenstein and Chet waiting there,
right,
it's not the same. Is it when you're going up against the Warriors, you can get to the rim, knuckles on the backboard, and get your layups and your little floaters and all that stuff. But because they have no rim protection, we got Trace Jackson Davis, Looney. But when you've got Chet and Hartenstein down there, it's a different proposal when you get past your man, and Chet's coming over to help, and he can protect the rim. So I think you'll see more jump shooting from Edwards in this series than you did last series for sure. The NBA playoffs are finally here, and there's no better way to be part of the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. After another competitive season, the top teams are ready to battle their way through the playoff bracket in hopes of taking home the championship. And if you think you know how it's all going to go down, then make those predictions pay off with FanDuel and NBA profit boosts. Simply make your bet, activate your boost, and go for even bigger winnings. This evening, we have the start of the Western Conference Finals between Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. I think the Thunder are going to continue their winning ways and beat the Wolves this evening. But if you think so, maybe you can make those predictions pay off for you with FanDuel and the NBA profit boost. Don't just be a spectator this postseason. Head to FanDuel.com/mismatch to download America's #1 sportsbook and make every moment more. Don't forget, you must be 21 and over and present in select states, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Absolutely, and we move to New York and the Pacers. First time since 2000 these teams have met in the conference finals. Obviously, the Pacers won those. They have been there 2 other times, 94 and 99. Were both the Knicks winning.
Well, not just that. I mean, before Bill's pod last week, I did a little brush up on Knicks Pacers. They've played each other in the playoffs 3 straight years. They've played each other in the playoffs 9 times. Like, this is a real rivalry. This is a real rivalry.
Oh, yeah. tell me you saw the WWE shirts.
I did.
The WWE actually put out Brunson and Haliburton shirts. I was like, this is so awesome. This is so awesome. Real heat. I love the Brunson shirt. I think it's hilarious. With the big head on it, and then it's Haliburton 317.
I don't know why I hate Haliburton. Why do I hate this guy? Why?
The same reason a lot of people do.
I just hate this guy. I don't know why I hate this guy.
Because he is he's kind of like Trey. He's doing the Dame time to Dame, and he's doing he's barking at people. And it's like
his dad's pissing Giannis off. And
I think it's always guys that are like outstanding and they talk crazy, but you feel like they can't fight. Is that a fair summation?
Yes.
Is that a fair summation, right? We always like the guy that he'll get in your face. Guys that get in your face that you think can't actually fight, the Treys, the Haliburton, like those kind of guys. And I'm not saying, look, I don't know if the guy can fight or not, but any of those kind of guys, right? You remember when Amen Thompson chucked Tyler Hero?
Yeah.
You remember this year? Okay, and honestly, I have seen that video of Tyler Hero on a punching bag. It's abhorrent.
I saw it too. Yeah.
It's abhorrent.
I wouldn't be blowing up a punching bag myself, for sure.
No, I got it, but it just looks like a mess. But yeah, I'm saying, this gets down to guys feel that way about other guys. Like if you're the yapper, if you're up in everybody's face, if you're talking reckless, he was feeling that you're the guy that talks reckless, but you can't back it up.
He was voted the most overrated, but I think it's more hated than overrated. It's just people wanted to check the box on him.
They're just annoyed by him.
Yeah, it's a Gobert is the same way. People just don't like him. But I was looking back at last year's series. I think a lot gets forgotten. I think that we write off last year's series as, the Knicks got hurt. But game 1 went down to the wire. Game 2, down to the wire. Remember Rick Carlisle got kicked out of game 2? And he was saying, we're small market teams. We don't get the calls. Do you remember that?
Yep.
There's a lot of drama in that series.
Oh, yeah. And you got a lot of, look, between Matherin and Nembhard and Nesmith and then the Josh Hart, there's going to be some real, tussles in this deal. What was crazy is I was reading one of the conference finals previews this morning, and it said that you were talking about how close the games were last year, but that the last 7 times that these two teams have played, they have all been bigger than 10-point margins, and the average is 20.7. And I was like, what?
I don't remember regular season games from this season between the Knicks and the Pacers.
It's kind of crazy that blowouts.
I don't remember them.
The last 7 times they have played, it's been blowouts in the games, which is wild because you would think these would be hotly contested, hard-fought games. I don't know the circumstances of all of those games. I was just shocked to read that. I was like, what? I figured these teams would have played wars against each other.
I think the Pacers season, obviously they ended so well. It's because Nembhard came back and Nesmith came back and Haliburton got back from injury. When they're whole, they're good, man. They have guys to throw at the Knicks. I love the Knicks starting 5, but the Pacers have it. They've got guys. They've got answers.
I'm going to give you. And they might just be able to wear them down. The Knicks have 2 things. They got to keep everybody healthy. That goes without saying. Look, much like the Nuggets, an injury is exponentially worse for them than it is for an Oklahoma City or for an Indiana. Those teams have players that are fantastic players that can fill in, and you can keep that train rolling. You could not afford to lose anybody if you were Denver, and you can't afford to lose anybody if you're New York.
Oh yeah, you start looking at Precious Achiuwa real quick.
Well, and that's why it is when I talk about whether it's injury or just being able to stay on the floor. Towns unbelievably has had his career numbers against Indiana have been off the charts. He has averaged 28 and 11 on 56% shooting and 40% from three. And he did not shoot three.
Is that lifetime or is that this
career?
Season?
Career.
So with Minnesota, they play what, twice a year?
Yeah. This has been a remarkable matchup for him in the past. Okay.
I'm trying to think. Who, Siakam covers him?
Well, they're not playing.
Turner.
Look. The trick on Towns is rough him up. You rough him up, and he's going to get in his feelings, and he's going to start. He's going to do. And so, look, he has to be able to stay on the floor. On the floor. It's almost one of the most essential things for this Knicks-Pacers series. You tell me how many minutes Karl Towns can play, because they don't really have the rough you up big.
But they don't.
They don't have the rough you up big.
I said it so many times in the Boston series, and again, like I understand it's like 1999 basketball, but when Karl-Anthony Towns gets it in the post, there's no one to stop him.
Well, you want somebody bodying Towns.
Turner's the only person they have. Turner's the only person they have.
I think part of the reason Towns has been so successful against this organization in the past is because they play up and down basketball. This is where Towns thrives. Let's just run up and down. Let's play fast. Let's pace and space. You know what I mean? Like, we're not playing some kind of hard-fought bang down in the post, like every rebound is contested and whatever. Like, I mean, these are the kind of teams in the past that have proven to be very good matchups for Karl Towns. The only matter is, can he stay on the floor?
I've said this before about the Pacers and Haliburton, who's been huge. He's basically had some huge game-winning shots, in the Bucks series, in the Cavs series, big shots. But he is so up and down. Like, you know what you're going to get from Jalen Brunson. He is consistent. You're going to get at least 20 to 30 from Jalen Brunson. But Haliburton in the playoffs so far, in the last series, was 22-19. He had four in game 3. 11 in game 4, and then 31 in game 5. He's just up and down. You don't know what you're going to get. But one thing that he has done really well is, for someone who has the ball that much, he doesn't turn it over. In the last 5 games, he's got 1 turnover, 0 turnovers, 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers, and 4 turnovers.
But we would agree, much like we were talking about the being able to stay healthy and stay on the floor, it's less important that he is amazing than it is for other teams, because the usage rate, I mean, like, you look up and down and it's like he averages 8, or Siakam averages 18, he averages 17, Turner averages 16.
Haliburton gets 10 points and they win the game.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's just not true.
They're not top heavy. If Brunson
heavy.
Scores 10 points, Knicks aren't winning the game.
No, it's not top heavy like it is with the others.
That's
like
fair.
Brunson and Towns both have to be awesome. I mean, I think, and the other thing is, if you want to look for X factors, like guys that could really change things, Nembhard has not been a good, but he has not been a good 3-point shooter, and he has shot the absolute cover off the ball in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, is there going to be some regression here? I mean, this guy was
She shot like 50% in the playoffs, right? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's killing it.
And look, if I'm game planning, I want the 29% 3-point shooter to shoot threes, theoretically. But if the guy
watch the games,
I know.
He's going to go 3 for 3 in the first half. You got to change the game plan. You know what I mean?
That's been the issue.
Yeah.
No, that's been the issue, and that's why the Pacers, in part, have looked as good as they have. Because it's like, okay, amongst our choices of what they're going to do offensively, the 29% 3-point shooting is a good option.
So,
and then that happens.
So here's a question for you, Verno, because here's one of the things I was thinking about, right? A lot of the time, the stupid offenses just turn into set me a pick so I can get the guy I want to cover me. We get a switch.
Right. Yep.
I can't pick the guy on the Pacers starting 5 that Brunson's going to want in an ISO. Who is it? Turner?
The bigs.
Turner?
The bigs.
Turner can play defense, man. He's a former defensive player of the year candidate. And Siakam can get in a stance too. Like there's no sort of like
I don't think
obvious.
Brunson's too worried.
There's
about
no
this, though.
obvious target on their team.
I got it, but there was no look.
I mean,
when
Brunson's
you're
a
talking,
special.
And how many times did he try to get Drew Holiday off him, but he couldn't, or tried to get, he was cooking Derek White, and I mean, he's fine. Jalen Brunson has proven to be able to score on no matter.
Yeah,
that's
fair,
what he has proven.
My point is, when I look at that starting five, when you have Al Horford out there, somebody, it's like, all right, let's get Horford on Brunson. There's an obvious target. There's no sort of clear, obvious target on the Pacers starting five.
And do the Pacers just decide that we are going to load up on Brunson because the usage rate is so high, and then you live the results of the others? I will tell you, if you're looking for another,
be careful with that, dude.
Just record indicate success.
OG.
Since OG Anunoby has been a Knick, they are now 80-42 in games that he plays.
Dude,
whether it's regular season or playoffs. And if he scores 20, again, we'll just look at the box score at the end. Did OG Anunoby score 20 points?
Oh, what's the numbers? It's got to be like 22.
28 and 10.
Yeah. I mean, when he starts knocking down the three, because that's kind of what the other team game plans for. It's like, oh, okay, OG, shoot a three. When he starts knocking that thing down, it's over. It's over. And you can't score on him.
Hey, we agree on this. 6 minimum.
Oh, 7.
Likely 7.
I think that, I mean, the Knicks being in the conference finals blows my mind. And them having home court, game 1 in MSG, game 2 in MSG, game 7 in MSG.
Does it blow your mind that they are throwing garbage at Pacers fans and Brian Windhorst?
I like Windy because I know him from around the office. So I felt bad for Windy in that spot. And I don't think
Jack's
Windy
just trying to walk back to his hotel.
Windy didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it.
And when has he been at some big Knicks?
Yeah, and it's also like, what did Windy ever do? Like, he's one of those guys, if you spend time with him, like, he's unhateable. He's unhateable. I'm a hateable guy. I get it. If someone hates me, I get it. You know what I mean? But Windy, like, what's Windy ever done to anybody?
I don't.
You know what I mean?
He's one of the very few, like, big national media members that I don't know, like, personally. We know of each other, right? But that's it, right? I love him.
There's nothing not to love.
I do. I love
There's nothing not to love.
And when I saw that video, I was like, bro, leave him alone. What did he do?
Dude, I looked at it.
What about the guy in the Haliburton jersey that Haliburton's sending to game 4 now?
I love that.
That guy's a firefighter. What's wrong with you people?
What are you throwing trash at people for?
Why?
What are you throwing trash at people for?
These are your people, Jacoby.
These are my people. First of all, to be fair, there's a lot of trash around New York. It's a very trashy city. A lot of trash. A lot of trash outside.
Why?
It's just the logistics of it all.
Clean it up. Come on, Adams. What is Mayor Adams doing?
Trash. He's outside. Mayor Adams is at the nightclub. I don't know what this dude's deal is, but he's in his 60s, and he is outside until 3 a.m. every night of the week.
Well, he should be walking up and down the street cleaning up trash, protecting Brian Windhorst.
I pay so much money for my apartment, and when I go outside, there's trash and rats all over the sidewalk. And I pay so much money. Rats. Oh, my block is the rattiest block in the city.
No.
If it's after 9 p.m., you will see a rat. I promise.
And not to reveal too much, but you live near Central Park.
Yeah.
What the hell? Which is super nice. That's the only thing they keep nice.
Oh, Central Park is the greatest park in the world.
It really is. No, I took the kids there, and I was like, this is immaculate.
It's amazing.
It's the only thing.
They've designed every rock is placed there on purpose. There's nothing accidental about that park.
And then you walk by, you go to Times Square, and you're
rats, syringes, homeless people, fights, arguments, smoke shop on every corner.
Dude, my daughter saw a lady taking a dump. She was like,
it's a regular Tuesday.
She's got her pants on. I was like, just look ahead.
It's a regular Tuesday.
Just eyes ahead.
Regular Tuesday.
I'm like, is she really just taking a dump? What is going on?
My kids don't like taking the subway. And they're like, there's crazy people on the subway, Dad. I'm like, no, there's not. The subway's safe. And then the doors will open and we'll get on the subway train. And I'm just like, oh, shit. As a guy.
Did I tell you about the first time? So my daughter was like, Dad, we're learning about the Statue of Liberty and all this stuff. I want to go to New York City. And I said, all right, I'll take you to New York City. I hadn't been there in a while. As you know, I grew up not too far. My dad worked there until I was 8 years old. And so I was like, you know what? I agree. Let's go. And so we go, and of course we see all that, right? And then the Angels were in town, so we go to the Yankee game. We're going to take the subway, and we're going to go to the Yankee game. Train. And it was against we wanted to go see Ohtani, the Angels, right?
This is recently.
Angels.
Okay.
No, this is like 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. So now we're going back to the subway to go back to our hotel. And as we are getting on the subway, the entire subway station. Now, keep in mind, I'm at Yankee Stadium. The whole station. All right, earmuffs for anybody that's got kids in the car. The whole subway station starts going, fuck Trae Young. Fuck Trae Young. Yeah. Hey, Jacoby, it's the middle of summer. That wasn't even the season they played against the Hawks. It was 2 seasons removed. Hey, I got like an 8-year-old daughter. She's like, Dad, what are they saying? I was like, never mind.
Don't worry about it.
And I'm like, yo, dude, it was in July. Whoa. After a Yankee game. And I'm like, what is going on? What is going on?
Did you see the video
of the basketball?
Did you see the video of the cops trying to barricade people from going on 7th Avenue after the game? So they put up stanchions, like the barricades, and the cops are there trying to hold their ground to keep people from going on 7th Avenue. It gets to a point where they're just overwhelmed. You know, there's like 100 cops, but there's 4,000 fans, and they just tear down the stanchions and take over 7th Avenue. I think right now, to this point, win or lose, 7th Avenue is getting shut down every time there's a game.
I'm going to propose something for you, and you tell me whether or not you think this is plausible or not regarding this series. So Sunday we were joking because during Oklahoma City's big run, crowd goes nutso, right? Mm-hmm. They're going crazy. And former Oklahoma Sooner, so there is a connection somewhat, Trae Young tweets out that Oklahoma City is the loudest place, and it's better than MSG, and then he tells everybody to have a happy Sunday, okay? Which is perfect trolling and super funny. But one thing that I have not heard brought up, which this is in reference to the story I just told. Do you think that Trae Young knows Tyrese Haliburton's about to take my place? I'm not gonna be. Oh. I need to stick this back to them and remind them I'm the villain. I'm the one you hate. I'm Ice Trae. I'm doing the freezing cold thing.
And remember the dice? Don't forget the dice. Remember the dice when you're going to Vegas?
The dice roll. Yeah. And now on a random Sunday, I'm going to tweet for no reason that Oklahoma City is better than Madison Square Garden, because it was almost like, hey, I need to remind these Knicks fans, like, this is light work, what you're going to be doing with Haliburton. And you're going to act like you hate him the most. But just remember, I'm the guy. I'm the real bad guy.
No.
And that's why I am on a random Sunday telling you Knicks fans that you ain't shit, because I'm mad because I'm watching this and I know what's about to come. That Tyrese Haliburton has a chance to become the new Reggie Miller.
Oh, he's taking his spot.
And really be hated.
Trae Young is not threatening to Knicks fans anymore. It's not a threat. There's no threat. Tyrese Haliburton, he's threatening. The Pacers they're a threat. Like, I'm scared. I'm worried about Wednesday night.
We know that, and this is true of when I talked about Oklahoma City and Minnesota, and this is true of the Pacers and the Knicks, that depth is a big weapon for both the Pacers and the Thunder. So let me just say that right off the bat. But most of the time, it's going to be your top 6 that matter the most. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 7. The Knicks have
All right.
7. Deuce and Mitch. Deuce has been playing so well these playoffs.
That's fine. But I mean, if I'm going to throw in these extra guys, I just decided to do like the starting fives of these teams. Talk about what kind of playoff experience they have, because I always talk about that. Brunson's played in 61 playoff games. Bridges,
a lot of that's with the Mavs.
Bridges has played in 51. No, I'm just talking about how many playoff games have you been in.
Okay.
If we decide that playoff games are learning experiences, because you're seeing things that you haven't seen before. You're being guarded ways that you haven't seen before. All of your flaws are exposed tenfold. Brunson 61, Bridges 51.
Hart's going to have some inflated numbers.
No, his is low, 36.
With the Lakers, he never went to the playoffs?
36. No. Anunoby 48. I thought that number would be higher because of the Raptors.
He hit a big shot in the bubble. Remember, he had a game-winning shot in the playoffs in the bubble.
And then Towns 44. So if you just take starting lineup playoff games played, it's 240 combined of the 5 guys.
What about the Pacers? You did some research for this pod, huh? Look at you.
Haliburton 25. That's low.
That is low.
Would you have thought Haliburton's played in less playoff games than SGA?
I'm trying to think. Did SGA play for the Clippers?
Yeah.
Did he get some Clippers?
Yeah, he does have some Clippers in there.
Yeah.
And he has the
I think people forgot SGA was on the Clippers.
Well, he also has the early Thunder, the Chris Paul Thunder, when he first got there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So Haliburton 25, Nesmith 47. I know.
Celtics, when he wasn't playing?
Yeah. No, these are games played. Like you played in the game.
He played in the game. I mean, he might have got a minute at garbage time.
It's like, but honestly, that's just like 15 of them. And then you have Nembhard 27, Turner 53, and then by far the most playoff experience by a wide margin of any of the players, individual players, 80.
Yeah,
80 playoff games played. Siakam actually,
and those are legit. Those are legit. Those are not like Nesmiths. Those are legit. Like I'm a go-to guy on those teams.
He's played the second most of anybody left. The most is Conley. The order goes Conley, then Siakam, then Gobert. Gobert's played 79 and Siakam's played 80. But anyway, the total for the starting 5 for the Pacers is 232.
So that's a push.
It's almost
240
like,
and 232. It's push.
Close. Very close.
I mean,
nobody has a distinct experience advantage is the point in that one.
I don't know, man. I just feel like as a go-to playoff scorer, Jalen Brunson has a distinct experience advantage. You can, regardless of the quantifiable data, like Brunson's.
He has been one of the best playoff performers. He's been one of the best playoff performers in the history of the NBA.
It just feels it feels like Mariano Rivera. You know what I mean? Like when I used to love the Red Sox and they would play the Yankees. It just felt like you had a 1-run lead, get us to the 8th inning, Mariano's going to take us home, and I feel that way about Brunson. Just get us to the end of the game in a 2-possession game, and Brunson's going to take us home. He just does time and time again.
All right, let's pick somebody. We're going to say, these X Factor guys, look, you know that this stuff comes down to what ousted the Thunder last year was the Derek Jones Jr.'s and the PJ Washingtons of the world knocking down threes. Yep. So that feels like, I mean, look, we saw it in round 1. You got to take stuff away. Jaden McDaniels gets open threes. Does Jaden McDaniels hit the open threes, take them, and make them in the way that he did? Right. Does Dort make those? I do feel like they're going to need a really good Chet Holmgren against Minnesota.
There hasn't been a Chet game yet.
No, but I got it. But I think that he's the one to really keep an eye on. Because, again, like, you got some weird size with Minnesota with the whole Gobert is only next to the rim, but Naz Reid is like 30 feet from the rim. You know what I mean? Like, you got 2 totally different kind of animals that you deal with. And also, can you hold up, like, are you just too long for Julius Randle? Are you able to hold up when you catch Randall assignments and whatever. And so I do think that this is going to be a big what kind of performances do they get out of Chet? On the other side, on the Minnesota thing, you see that defense and you see what Oklahoma City does. Like, are you going to make the open threes or not? Like, they're gonna do a lot of boxes and elbows, and so are DiVincenzo and McDaniels
the guy I'm looking
gonna
at.
make shots.
DiVincenzo's the guy because I watched him on the Knicks last year, put up 20, 25, hit big shots at the end of the game, and he hasn't really done that this year for the Timberwolves. So he's the guy I'm looking at. If you're looking like an X factor swing a game or two, swing a series guy, for me it's DiVincenzo.
Because he's also got to handle the ball more.
And he can play defense. He can get in the stance.
He's one of the 3 guys on that team that can really dribble. That's the problem against Oklahoma City.
Besides Edwards.
Conley and Edwards.
Conley, sure.
They can really dribble the ball. Like I don't feel like Kason Wallace is going to run at them and they're immediately going to turn it over.
I mean, there's nobody else on that team that can.
Maybe Alexander Walker could dribble a little, but no. I don't want to test it.
No one wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
So we kind of agree in terms of like who are the guys we're really keeping an eye out for.
DiVincenzo, OG, and Nembhard would be the 4.
Yeah, the Nembhard thing is the 29% 3-point shooter going to keep shooting fireballs.
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think he's shooting 50% from 3 in the playoffs. Dude.
50?
Yeah. Like, I don't have the numbers in front of me. But it's legit 50.
No. He's 51% from the field.
51%?
50% and 50% from 3.
Jesus.
He's been awesome.
And he'll lock you up, too.
Well, and the other thing is, and the thing that is so fun about these 2 series, we know that we can forget all the individual players. Bro, we know who's winning a track meet, and we know who's got the chance in the mud war.
Yep. Yeah.
Both of these series
Thunder, Pacers,
are exactly
track meet,
the same one.
Mud war, Wolves, Knicks. It's that simple.
That's it. So what kind of playoff games are we getting? Are we getting these knockdown dragouts, or are we getting... Because if it turns into just fly up and down the court,
but
then these are runaways.
If it's free throws and grifting
half-court basketball,
and slowed down and 3-hour games, game starts at 7:30, ends at 10:30, that's going to be Knicks and Wolves. That's going to be Knicks and Wolves.
Are these half-court games or are these full-court games? And many times in the playoffs, these become half-court games.
Yep. But
you saw that's why that Thunder team has been so dominant this year. They were able to turn that into a full. We're not playing a half-court game. We're running. We're turning you over.
If they turn you over 3 times in a row, it just feels like there's just nothing you can do. I mean, there's even that game 6 when they lost. Remember at the end when they were down like 15 and they turned the Nuggets over 4 times in a row? It just felt like there's nothing they could do. It felt like they couldn't complete a pass.
Well, and the other thing is what happens off of that is these are both teams you don't want to play against their set defenses, right?
No.
If it's a set defense, I get to choose the matchups. If I get a stop, now we're matching up on the fly, right? We're matching up on the fly. We're not choosing the matchups if I'm getting stops. And the same thing goes every time you turn it over. That's why it's so devastating, Jacoby. Every time you turn it over, it's a pick 6. Now you're having to run back to go get that ball and throw it from out of bounds. They're already choosing who they want on who, and they're choosing every position. You have to be able to get stops to not let them set that up too, because those pick 6s are an absolute double whammy.
Another thing I'm worried about is Jalen Brunson's on the ground more than any player I've ever seen. And if you go in there to the lane and you fall over trying to get a foul call or whatever, the Pacers will just play 4 on 5. You're on the ground. Underneath, you're sitting next to a photographer on the ground, picking yourself up off the ground, and the Pacers are playing 4 on 5 the other direction. That's one of my concerns.
It's just straight, like that Pacers thing. It's just straight wind sprints the whole game. The whole game. They are relentlessly running.
I mean, but it's Knicks and 6. You know it is. You know the Knicks. You know it's Knicks and 6. Go ahead. Pick the Pacers. Go ahead. Knicks are winning the series.
I mean, look, if you go back to the very first show we did, the very first one, my finals was Dallas, New York. Is that hilarious?
I mean, I would have never. I thought the Knicks were going to lose in round one. I was in Detroit this weekend, and I was telling everybody there the Pistons gave the Knicks a better run than the Celtics did.
Last thing before we get out of here, I want to mention why you were in Detroit, because I actually clicked on the links to see about this Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. It was 15th annual golf tournament that he put together.
Yep.
And if you can, just speak to kind of what he does in the city of Detroit and what this Leadership Academy is.
Well, dude, a lot of former athletes have high schools, right? But Jalen is 10 toes down, boots on the ground, in the details, in the muck. I've visited that school with him. I've been standing next to him when he gets a phone call because some kid didn't get picked up by his parents after school. Like, this isn't just like some sort of, let me put my name on a thing. Like, he's got board meetings all the time, talking about textbooks and facilities, and they get no government funding. And he's decided to like really make a change in his community, because it's one thing to write a check to a charity, but it's another thing to spend your money and your time and your energy to be a change activist in the community that raised you. And the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy is doing that in Detroit. And they graduate like 200 kids a year. And when I visited the school, they had kids coming back that were in college to come check in with their counselors. So they've graduated already. They've already walked across the stage and gotten diplomas, but they're still coming back to the school to check in with their counselors, to get guidance while they're in college. Like, there's a lot of people that put their names on things, but there's not a lot of people that back it up with the time and the energy and the money that Jalen does in the city of Detroit. And the least I can do is go out there, hit some golf balls.
Now, I'm glad you talked about it, because when you told me that that's where you were going this weekend, I went and looked it up on Instagram, and I was like, "Whoa,
yeah, man,
this is a real deal. This is the real deal.
It's a real thing, and they're grinding. They got a caffeinasium. My school had a caffeinasium growing up. You know what a caffeinasium is?
Yeah, half gym, half cafeteria.
You eat lunch there and you play basketball there. Like, they're still working on the facilities. They're still trying to grow. You know what I mean? And they're doing a great job.
Awesome.
So if you can, go to jrladetroit.com and help them out.
That's awesome. Jacoby, by the time we speak again, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking after Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. Yes, we are. That's Thursday night.
Wow.
We're back to it. We had a couple nights off. Now we're back to it with these games going on. Thank you to our executive producer, Jesse, and Tucker, as always. And Jacoby, I'll talk to you later this week.
Must be 21 and over and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.